Hello and good afternoon. I'm David Murray, Social Media Manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Michigan, and today we are coming to you live from Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're here checking out ArtPrize. ArtPrize is an independent open art competition, takes place over 19 days here in Grand Rapids, and it features artists from all over the world. One of these artists is Barbara Barefield, and she's with us today with an exhibit called Jazz Space Detroit and Beyond. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Can you talk to us a little bit about your exhibit?
I'd love to, thank you. It's an honor to be here at the Grand Rapids African American Museum. And my exhibit is shot over a 40-plus year period. I'm a photographer. I live in the Detroit area, and all of the photographs were taken in the Detroit area except for one of Stevie Wonder in the top left-hand corner there. That's from Washington, D.C. But these are some of our greatest cultural treasures of jazz and blues and Motown. And many of them come from Michigan, come from the Detroit area, or have spent significant time here. And I wanted to share my love of the music and these 40-plus years that I've been involved in photographing and also helping to present some of these wonderful musicians to the world and to the Detroit area. So this, should I talk a little bit more about
By all
how the
means, feel
exhibit
free,
is?
please.
Okay. So the photographs on this panel are from the 20th century. So the 1970s, 80s, and 90s primarily. And that was a time before digital photography. There's a lot of people coming in and out of this museum who don't know what I'm talking about when I say film, but it was shot on 35 millimeter black and white film, almost all of these. So people then ask me, well, how do you then get color into a black and white photograph? Well, that's even an older technique. Before there was color photography, people would hand tint with oil paints on their black and white photographs. And that's what I'm going to show today. So many of the photographs, like of John Lee Hooker and Sippy Wallace, Miles Davis, Roy Brooks down at the bottom, Farouk Zubey here, Spencer Barefield down there, and this large one were done from black and white photos. So I would start with a negative that was about this big. I would print it on a fiber-based paper, like we'll see here. It's it's just like a watercolor paper almost. And then I would go in with oil paints, and very translucent oil paints, and they allow the photograph to show through. So now we have the technology in the 21st century that can take a small image and scan it and be able to enlarge it so that it still maintains the integrity of the image, yet it's enlarged so much. On the other side of this painting, photo painting, is the 21st century. So that's uses the technology that most people are familiar with on their cell phones or their digital cameras. So those are all shot with a digital camera in the 2000s. So they're the most recent pictures. Many of these photos were shot at events that my husband Spencer Barefield, who is playing the red guitar up there and also sitting watching me right now, he and I have been putting on concerts for 40-plus years. So many of these people that are on these panels are people that he has performed with, recorded with, toured with, and we've presented in concert. So we've got to know their friends, their family, and extended family that we've gotten to know very well. So it's been an opportunity to really be intimate and get photographs that people ask me, well, how were you up so close? And how did you, because we were part of presenting the music, and also I worked for the Detroit Free Press and had a small alternative newspaper for a while, so I was able to get those photographs as well.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So being an artist, what does it mean to you to be part of ArtPrize?
Oh, it's an incredible honor. This is the first time I've really been up to Grand Rapids, and I've never been to ArtPrize before. So the scope of it is really awesome. I mean, I read about it online, so I knew there was some 200 venues and 1,500 artists, but until you're here and you see how art is everywhere, from a bridal salon and a cafe to the major museums, you just don't realize, and inside and out, you don't realize how incredible it is. And so that's why hundreds of thousands of people are flocking to Grand Rapids to be part of this incredible experience.
Yes, art definitely draws the crowd. As an artist also, how do you find your art plays a role in maintaining a healthy lifestyle?
Well, I think all art, most art, helps maintain a healthy lifestyle. And that's one of the reasons I feel that art and music are such important things for children to have in their daily lives, because it gives them the opportunity to explore and be creative. They're things that I think children are naturally drawn toward, and we need to continue to foster that creativity, because those are the elements that allow our children to be conceptual thinkers and creative thinkers and be the problem solvers of the future. And we really need problem solvers because we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us. So art can open those doors both in your mind to see things in a different way, but also when you see art, when you come to a place like ArtPrize, you're not just seeing pretty pictures on the wall. While there are lots of pretty pictures on the wall, you're also being challenged with things that will tell you about history, that might bring up issues of social justice and social awareness of racism and bigotry and immigration issues and ecological, environmental issues. And so there's so much going on at ArtPrize to help open our awareness to what our lives are like. So it can both bring peace into our lives, because art, really looking at art can be very peaceful, but it can also increase our awareness to help us to become better people, to help us figure out how to solve problems.
Sure, absolutely. I understand you're going to give us a little example of your work.
Yes. So most of the work we see here is showing performing artists, and okay. I really want this artwork here to be a gateway for people to learn about this incredible music, because that's another way for a healthy lifestyle. Listening to music and coming to live performances, learning how to play an instrument, those are all part of the healthy lifestyle, I think, and really enrich one's lives. And these are the musicians who have enriched the lives of people all over the world. And people all over the world sometimes know about them more than we do right in our own backyard. So I wanted this to be an historic perspective that would open doors for people. Okay. So I'm going to just start working on this image. It's an interesting image. It was taken in the 1970s in downtown Detroit. So this is the Renaissance Center. It's right on the waterfront. This is where we have been having for more than 2 decades, I think, the Detroit Jazz Festival. So this is a very early Detroit Jazz Festival. This is a group called Griot Galaxy, and the drummer is Tiny Tabal. So not only is he playing on a traditional drum set, but he has created some found objects and things that he used to create some very exciting sounds. And I'm going to start working with the oil paints in a different kind of way than regular painting, because I'm not using paintbrushes. I'm using cotton balls, and then I make my paintbrushes out of toothpicks and cotton. And I learned this technique from a master many, many years ago. I was the art director at the Detroit Free Press in the late 1970s. And I had a photograph of the Fox Theater, which hadn't been renovated yet, so still in pretty shabby condition, but I wanted to give it a nostalgic feel. So the head of the photo department, Tony Spina, who's a legendary photographer and was a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer, showed me how to do this. He said, oh yeah, we used to do that all the time in the olden days. And he proceeded to send me down to the neighborhood photo store to get Marshall oil paints, which they no longer make, and proceeded to start working on it. So the first thing is that this photograph was given a brown tone to make it warm, a selenium tone. And the next thing I'm going to do is kind of give it an overall glaze of a warm yellow. So I'm just going to rub this color in all over. And I'm doing this just to help unify the entire picture. This table is a little rickety, so it's making noise as I... But what's so incredible about these paints is that the photo will show through all the parts of the photo. So a lot of people might have seen old postcards, or they might have family photos of their grandparents or great-grandparents where there's kind of a painterly kind of soft tones to it. It was probably done in this technique before there was widespread use, or before there was before color photography was accessible or invented. So now that I have that nice warm tone under it, I'm going to go in and probably pull out some areas that I don't want to have that yellow. So I might not want to have it on his face. I might not want to have it on his face. They had white paint on their face. I might want to have some highlights on some of these buildings. So now I'm going to go in and start trying to, and I'm doing this much faster than I normally would because I want to just get a little bit of color in here so we can get an idea. Looking for my extender because that is kind of how a lot of these paints are quite old and it's very hard to find them now. So
what type of paints are they?
They're oil paints, but they're called Marshall oil paints. They were specifically made for use on photos. So I'm just going to block in some large areas, get some blue in the sky. And I won't be able to finish this while we're doing this today, but when I do finish it, either later today or tomorrow or over the next couple of days, what I can do is I can send you or post a finished version of it so that you can see what it now looks like.
Well, that'd be great.
So with the bigger cotton balls, I'm just trying to get in some large areas of the color. And then as I start getting into smaller areas like their faces and details, I'll use what we would consider Q-tips, but I'll actually make them from toothpicks and pieces of cotton ball. And I'll just wrap the top of the toothpick with a little piece of cotton. And I can make these fatter or skinnier, just like you would have tiny brushes and larger brushes.
That looks fantastic. Barbara, thank you so much for taking some time with us and sharing the insight into your work. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for joining me today, and I hope people who are in Grand Rapids who are seeing this will come by and visit and see some of the other artwork we have both here. We're going to have live music, some African music and some jazz on the weekends, maybe during the week too. So check the Facebook page for the Grand Rapids African American Museum and Archives, and also their website will share the schedule for all of the activities that are happening here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'd shake your hands, but
Well,
my hands
okay.
are starting to get pretty painty.
It's all right. And thank you everyone for watching us. If you'd like more information about ArtPrize, follow the link in this post. You can also learn more about Healthy Michigan content at our blog at healthiermichigan.org. Thank you so much and have a great day.